World News in 5.
Right now.
News and developments making headlines around the world in 5 minutes. World News in 5. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
This is World News in 5 here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Syria's de facto leader Ahmed al-Shara'a was officially named the president of a transitional government less than 2 months after his Islamist Hayat Tahrir al-Sham or HTS group led the ouster of Bashar al-Assad's regime. According to an announcement made by the military command, Shara'a will hold the presidency of the transitional government, giving him the power to form a temporary legislative council for a transitional period. The military command said Shara'a will carry out the duties of presidency in Syria and represent the country in international forums. The command also announced the suspension of the constitution, adding the new legislative council formed by the transitional government would carry out its task until a new constitution is adopted. The parliament elected under the Assad government was also formally dissolved. Prior to the announcement, the military commanders who took part in the campaign led by the HTS that toppled Assad's government held a meeting on Wednesday to discuss the country's transitional phase. During his address at the conference, Shara'a pledged to fill a vacuum in government in a legitimate and legal way and said civil peace must be preserved through transitional justice and preventing displays of revenge. He also stressed the need for the state institutions to be rebuilt and the economic infrastructure to be developed. He also vowed to embark on a political transition, including a national conference, an inclusive government, and eventual elections, which he has said could take up to 4 years to hold. The de facto government's announcement did not say when the new legislative body might be picked or what would be the timeline for the said transition. In our news, Democratic Republic of Congo or DRC President Felix Tshisekedi warned that he would mount a military riposte against Rwandan troops and M23 rebels that seized the eastern city of Goma. In his address, Tshisekedi says that while he favors diplomacy, he says the presence of thousands of Rwandan soldiers on the Congo's soil is leading to an escalation with unpredictable consequences. He made the remarks after the East African Bloc, of which Rwanda and Congo are member states, called for an immediate halt of hostilities in the eastern Congo and for the DRC government to negotiate with the rebels. A similar demand was also issued by the United Nations Security Council in a bid to tame a larger conflict poised in Congo. Tensions in the eastern Congo escalated this week after the Rwandan-backed M23 rebels captured Goma, the largest city in the region and is home to about 2 million people. According to the Congo, the United Nations, the United States, and other Western powers, Rwandan forces backed up the rebels in this week's assault, which led to the fall of the North Kivu province's capital. Rwanda has denied this allegation. Reports say the rebels continued their advances in an apparent attempt to expand their area of control. The new spike of tension further escalates the decades-old conflict in the region, which are rooted in the spillover of Rwanda's 1994 genocide into Congo and the struggle for control in the mineral-rich area. And for Philippine Embassy and Consular news, the Philippine Embassy in Washington, D.C. says it has not received reports of Filipinos involved in the mid-air collision between a U.S. military helicopter and an American Airlines commercial plane in the Potomac River near Arlington, Virginia, Wednesday night local time. In a statement on Thursday, Philippine time, the embassy said it is closely monitoring the developments in the said aviation incident, which is the worst air disaster in the U.S. since 2001. The Sikorsky H-60 helicopter carrying 3 fairly experienced crew collided mid-air with the American Airlines regional jet, reportedly carrying about 60 passengers and 4 crew members, while the latter was approaching its landing runway at the Reagan National Airport around 9 p.m. As of Thursday, nearly 30 bodies were recovered from the frigid Potomac River, with officials presumed that all those on board the passenger plane and the military chopper were killed. The names of all the victims have not yet been released, but Reuters reported that among them were a number of promising figure skaters and people from Kansas, where the flight originated. The country's Transportation Safety Board said they began their investigation and would have a preliminary report within 30 days. And that concludes today's edition of World News in 5. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this is Win Peñano. Good day.
World News in 5.
Right now.
News and developments making headlines around the world in 5 minutes. World News in 5. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.